Meanwhile, it's another feather in the cap of the Indian Air Force with a fleet of 8 Apache helicopters inducted at the Pathankot Air Base this morning. This is from the batch of a total 22 choppers acquired from the US recently. They arrived in India on the 27th of July. The first batch of the Apache choppers received the water cannon salute before their induction at the Pathankot Air Base. Described as the most lethal attack helicopter in the world, the Apache has been in service since 1984 with over 2,100 machines produced. The helicopters will replace the Mi-35 choppers stationed in Pathankot. Air Chief Marshal BS Dhanoa, who was present as the chief guest during the induction ceremony, believes that the Indian Air Force has upped its ante in the field of defense by inducting these multi-role helicopters.
Cutting to the clouds and heading straight to you.
Apache helicopter is an advanced multi-mission helicopter that is being operated worldwide by the United States, United Kingdom, Israel, and many number of countries. The platform has been flying since the beginning of 80s and has proved itself an operational success across the globe. It's one of the most fierce attack helicopters in the world. Along with the capability to shoot, fire, and forget anti-tank guided missiles, rockets, and other ammunition, the change that it gets into the Indian Air Force, it has an air-to-air missile capability. That's why it gives us also an air-to-air mission with a helicopter, which is for the first time in the history of the IAF.
Now, the US-China trade war is creating ripples even in the diet of people. Lobsters, which had become a staple for the Chinese, is now the target of hefty tariffs. China believes that the tariffs have crippled US lobster trade permanently. More in this report. Take a look.
China's economic boom has bolstered the disposable income of its middle class, whose desires for the finer things in life has risen. Those finer things include me, a lobster, once a luxury that only the rich could afford. The Chinese love affair with me has really taken off in the last decade or so, and the North American crustacean, found along the coasts of both the US and Canada, has become a particular favorite as a status symbol. That's because of my red color, which many in China regard as a mark of prosperity. It helps that I am an excellent source of lean protein and low in fat and calories. A good indicator of China's rise as an economic force is that this symbol of Western affluence has become an affordable treat for many across the country. The Chinese market has proven to be a godsend for U.S. producers at a time when output was high and prices were falling. Sales expanded rapidly. In 2010, China accounted for just about 1% of exports of American lobsters by value. 6 years later, that figure had risen to 15% and stayed that way for a while. That was until 2018, when President Donald Trump launched his trade war with China, complete with new levies on billions of dollars in goods. The Chinese government retaliated with a 25% tariff on U.S. lobster imports in July of last year. As a result, Chinese importers felt compelled to turn their backs on the ever more pricey American lobster. It has since all but disappeared from markets in China, once its second biggest destination. The U.S. state of Maine, America's lobster capital, has seen its exports drop by 84%. Maine lobster business in China had looked on course for a record year in 2018. Exports during that period rose to $128.5 million in the first 6 months, an increase of 169%. The state's congressional representatives were so worried earlier this year that they urged the Trump administration to prioritize lobster during the on-and-off trade negotiations with China. Experts say Maine may never recover its previously dominant position in the market, whatever the outcome of the negotiations.